Now that the dust has finally settled, we've got some new Atlus games headed our way. Persona 3 Reload, Persona 5 Tactica, and of course, the only one that wasn't leaked, Metaphor, Fantazio. All of these games are slated to be out next year, which means it's an exciting time to be an Atlus fan.
But if our plan had somehow leaked, then we need to change our tactics from here on out.
Usually I'd talk about the Persona ones at the end, but considering the fact that both of these were leaked and the time to talk about them has kind of come and gone, let's start unceremoniously with... So Persona getting a strategy RPG spin-off both surprises me and doesn't. It's a good route to take the game down, and the speed of Persona battles could help match the speed I want the game to play at. But regardless of the gameplay, I think a very major part of the Persona series is story, which, this one sure does have a story. It takes place before the graduation ceremony during Persona 5's timeline, which means it sure is going to be one of those stories where everyone forgets what happens in the end, because there's not going to be any canonical mention of it. If I'm honest, I'm tired of these kinds of spin-offs. It really wouldn't be that hard to place this sometime after Strikers. I mean, the flavor text of the story mentions it takes place on a snowy day. So yeah, I'm kinda salty about that. I'm also kind of tired of the writers and developers and the creative team behind the games not really touching on the royal characters for really no good reason. So yeah, I generally have mixed feelings about this spin-off, at least in the story perspective. But you know what? I'm a sucker, and Atlus has me by the neck. Because I'm gonna buy this game and play it anyways. And if you check the details on the website, courtesy of Persona Central, there's already DLC being prepped for this game. Some of it is the standard Persona DLC schlop, that's things like fan-favorite Personas. But there is an actual story DLC listed that mentions a highly anticipated character, and that it would help if you were a fan of the main game. I mean, I feel like this is obvious at this point. Anyways, if this is how Atlus chooses to acknowledge and tie up some loose ends from Royal, then fine, I guess? It's entirely possible that this character is not who I think it is, but regardless, I hope we get at least something useful from this spin-off in terms of the canonical story. I have some gripes with the character designs and their giant hands, because you could do all of this in the Persona 5 style, and we're not working with 3DS hardware where it would look kind of weird to do, but in the end I think it'll grow on me. So I hope this turns out good, but let's jump on to the next game.
What the hell is this?
Now, for the most part, people are not actually that mad about this. Again, it's the silent majority versus the loud vocal minority. And there's nothing wrong with posting your criticisms about a game that you feel like doesn't live up to your standards. But I have seen a lot of posts about this remake looking bad or ugly or too stylistic, or Persona 3 with a Persona 5 skin or whatever the order for that was. And I kinda just don't get it. I think it looks fine. It looks like what I expected from a Persona 3 remake. The models don't have the exact same style as P5's, and you can see that difference if you look at the P3 dancing models versus the remake ones that are shown in the screenshots and the trailers. While there are elements that are heavily stylized, there are a lot that also aren't and do resemble the older title of Persona 3. And otherwise, I guess I'm just not experienced enough in art and design to truly understand what the issue is, or if it's just opinions. But anyways, yeah, I think this looks fine. The voice acting cast, at least on the English side, is being recast, which is probably a good thing overall, and there are going to be some extra additions and some new social events in the game, which is a nice added bonus. However, there is one nail in the coffin, both for The Answer and FemC, with the producer and chief director saying that this game will only feature content from the original Persona 3 to faithfully recreate the Persona 3 experience, which is really disappointing. I mean, genuinely, that's kinda lame. I understand that there's a lot of extra work that would have to be done to implement FemC and The Answer, but skirting around it also just kinda blows. I mean, we finally have the chance to have both implemented into one game and create an actual definitive addition to Persona 3, but instead, we get neither. And many people have surmised, and I can assume that this might be the case somewhere down the line as well, that Atlus will sell this as kind of a royal upgrade for the remake or as DLC down the line. Which kind of sucks, but it does fall in line with what they've done before. In short, I'm happy that Persona 3 is finally getting its remake. But it's also happening in the most monkey's paw way possible. I don't care much for the UI issues that people are having, and whatever people are saying about the visuals, but I can wholly understand the discontent with the missing content. Well, anyways, moving on from that... After years and years and years of waiting, we've finally been blessed with a look at Project Re Fantasy, or Metaphor Re Fantasia. This game is being helmed by the producer of Persona 3, 4, and 5, Katsura Hashino. There's a lot in this game that bears a resemblance to SMT. In some ways, I guess you could consider it a SMT/Persona game in a medieval fantasy setting. Anyways, this game looks nice. It's got flashy UI, pretty good looking character models. It's shaping up to be a great modern JRPG from Atlus. But the thing this game really needs to deliver on is the story. I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but if there's one thing Atlus games have actually not totally been delivering on recently, it is the story. It might have not made a huge dent in the overall quality of SMT5's gameplay, but in Soul Hackers, at least in my eyes, it really suffered from the lackluster story. SMT5 also felt like it was missing major story elements, but I guess since none of it was really totally there to begin with, like there was no real build-up or anything, I just didn't mind when nothing really came to fruition. Anyways, I have faith in Atlus and the team at Studio Zero to deliver on the visuals and gameplay. The Atlus standard really hasn't failed them there, but the story elements really need to land, and I hope that the time and effort spent on this game will make it another great game, because Atlus, if you want to be more than Persona, you need to do more with your games to hit the same way Persona 5 did.
Well, as long as you don't go overboard, I guess you can go ahead and cut loose today.
Hell yeah! Merry Christmas!
He didn't hear a word of that.
So things are looking up. I'd say for the most part, I'm pretty hopeful for Atlus's future games. Now there are some issues, and I'd like to see those issues addressed, but I do think that for the games I do have issues with, we are kind of too late in the development and release cycle for anything to actually change. In the end, I just want these games to turn out good, as I do with most games. Also, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's very likely this is the Atlus release schedule for the next 2 years. Maybe you'll get one more Persona 5 spin-off sprinkled in there, but I doubt we're getting any huge games from Atlus for the next year besides the ones that are shown here. Which is fine, but it does mean that you probably won't be seeing Persona 6 anytime soon. But that's a topic for another video. So if you want to see that, I guess you could subscribe to the channel. I also cover other things in relation to JRPGs, Atlus, and Persona, so you could subscribe for those things if you want. You could also leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate it. And you could also leave a comment below about your thoughts on Persona 5 Tactica, Persona 3 Reload, and of course, Metaphor. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.